This is the fun half, so we got to do a Dave Rubin clip here. David Rubin weighing into sports. He's a basketball fan.
He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't 100% say that I could beat him in one-on-one, so that kind of bothers me and makes me want to get in the gym. I'll say that.
All right. Well, we'll see if, you think his basketball knowledge is up to snuff in this clip at the very least, because now, as he is a right-winger, he has decided that the WNBA is not a joke that they used to laugh at and make fun of the women and laugh about Brittany Griner being in, captivity in Russia and all those kinds of things, or use as a pretext to make fun of trans people or try to take their rights away. Now they suddenly care about the WNBA because they have made Caitlin Clark into a cultural issue. And as we played on ESPN, on Fox News, they had a guest come on and call her the Jackie Robinson of the WNBA, but in reverse, because of all the anti-white racism, apparently, that she's
the first white woman to play in the WNBA.
Apparently, yeah. And this is not just like, wow, she's a rookie. We're going to show her what it... we're going to kind of not haze her, but we're going to say, like, this is a women's league. It's not a girls' league. We're going to make our presence felt, as happens all the time in other sports.
Joel Embiid put up 70 points on Victor Wembanyama this year because he was the rookie who had all of the buzz, and he wanted to make an imprint. That's what's going on with both Clark and also
Angel Reese,
but people
Cameron Brink, who just tore her ACL. But like all the women that have this incredible hype. I mean, Clark was the first overall pick, so people are showing out and they're playing up their rivalry with her. That's what it is. But no, because this is a right-wing show, it has to really be about the protecting the white lady from the scary black people. I bring you Dave Rubin.
Another video. This is a guy who I play clips of sometimes, and I agree with him, and then he can't quite get there, but I think we're going to get him there one of these days. This is Stephen A. Smith of ESPN, and now we're going to connect this to this whole Caitlin Clark fiasco out of the WNBA, because Caitlin Clark is white. And supposedly, apparently she's straight. I don't care about her sexuality, but she's white and straight. And she's an awesome basketball player. And the entire league and the media around her, everybody is trying to take her out because she's basically not a black lesbian. That pretty much is the bumper sticker.
Wait, go back 10 seconds. He doesn't care about her sexuality. He doesn't care about her sexuality. Go back 10 seconds. I want to hear that. And then in the next 10 seconds, because she's not a black lesbian.
But she's white and straight. She's an awesome basketball player, and the entire league and the
and go back a little bit more, 5 seconds
out of the WNBA, because Caitlin Clark is white, and supposedly, apparently she's straight. I don't care about her sexuality, but she's white and straight. She's an awesome basketball player. And the entire league and the media around her, everybody's trying to take her out because she's basically not a black lesbian. That pretty much is the bumper sticker on this thing. And here is Stephen A., who's waking up in so many ways, but here he is linking white supremacy and white supremacy and Trumpism to Caitlin Clark because she's white.
Because what has transpired, yes, Caitlin Clark is the name of the day to use, but there's a broader issue here that can't be escaped, and that is this. She is a white young lady, and she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go, because in the end, if you're white, you're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people in America. Let's transition. Very uncomfortable to touch on, but just factually correct. You have somebody that's a presidential candidate. What is his claim to fame? Make America great again. What have people interpreted that to mean? Make America white again. These are the things that critics have said.
Sorry, Stephen A. That's not what anyone means when they say make America great again. And having been to many Trump rallies and having met Trump at Mar-a-Lago and everything else, that's not what he means either. And you know that. You know that. And also this thing that she happens to be white, so she's becoming the star because white people have shininess and other people should have been. It doesn't, even if there was a degree of truth to that somehow that people are looking at her and they're like, this is the white girl we've been looking for to finally watch the WNBA. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But even if there was one degree of truth to that, it doesn't matter. You guys are getting a star right now. The WNBA has a seminal moment right now to not become something that loses millions and millions of dollars every year, which is what it's done since its inception about 30 years ago. It has lost millions I think around 50 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. It has lost, it's a crazed loss leader for the NBA, which foots the bill on this failed league, right? Now you have someone that is here, that is playing. It doesn't matter what skin color she is or who she sleeps with or anything else. And you people are still making it about race. It's just absolutely awful. You know, some people just have it. There's the it factor, right? Some people, they walk into a room and everyone wants to be them and look at them and everything else. Donald Trump walks into a room, everyone sees him. It's an it factor thing. You could argue that Ron DeSantis didn't have the it factor thing, right?
Oh, you could?
Michael Jordan had the it factor, right?
Sorry, just 1 second. Sorry. Didn't mean to fade to black. There's apologies. Matt just left.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention briefly that I think it's hilarious, that Dave says that
DeSantis didn't have it.
Right, that he had to bring up DeSantis's failed campaign, but also the fact
How
that
didn't he know then? Because he was in the bag for DeSantis from the beginning. So now he's saying he didn't have the juice.
Right, it's a tacit.
Let's go back in history, buddy.
It's a tacit admission of of a mea culpa from Dave there on his DeSantis support. Yeah, but then the other thing I think was funny is him being like, and her sexuality doesn't matter, but obviously the black lesbians in the WNBA, their sexuality matters because it informs how they treat Caitlin Clark, obviously. The other thing I just love is the fact that he's like, because this is a classic Rubin thing to do, where he's also like, even if the thing that Stephen A is saying is true,
yeah,
which I guess it probably is, wouldn't it be good that this new great white hope is making the WNBA popular? I just love that he's like, it's complete bullshit. But also, even if it wasn't, it's actually a good thing.
Right. I mean, and so sports leagues, when they started, operated at losses, like almost all of them. I believe that we covered this before, and Matt pulled up a graphic that showed that very fact. We're now in a place where particularly like the NFL and the NBA are raking in a ton of money right now. But that's also because they have had a 100-year run up until now. The WNBA did not benefit from a lot of coverage, and that's why Monica McNutt, my girl of the Knicks radio broadcast, but she's also on ESPN, why she called Stephen A out about it, because Stephen A didn't cover the WNBA in the same way before. And they could have benefited a lot from media coverage and people actually paying attention. And so what he's saying here is basically that the MAGA movement, or what he's talking about, doesn't have any racism in it. Dave, come on. Even the guys in the MAGA movement are like, yeah, we're racist and it's the right thing. We're like, we don't like, we want to further our group. Are we kidding here? It's ridiculous. But the idea that Caitlin Clark has not benefited from her whiteness is crazy. Now, Caitlin Clark is a really exciting player, and I like her. Like, I root for her. I think it's so cool what she's doing for the WNBA. I think the fact that she's such a phenomenal shooter behind the arc, she can also set women up and other players up with assists. She has this incredible court vision, touch, and is going to be a phenomenal WNBA player as she continues to get stronger. And after her rookie year is over, I'd imagine that like some of those growing pains will have subsided, and I really look forward to her career going forward. I also think that she's done a lot for the WNBA, but it's not just because of her skill. It's also because of her marketability. And this is how racism just like works in a quotidian way in our society. White players benefit from getting endorsement deals because of their marketability. White players benefit from getting outsized media attention because of their marketability. And I think that doesn't take anything away from her game. But what Stephen A was saying there, and he's making that particular point, even though he's made some other bad ones, he's friends with Mark Levin. Like, he has some conservative tendencies, Stephen A. Smith. But the point there is that it can be acknowledged and still be fine, and still be a rising tide that lifts all boats. But when it's not acknowledged, then there's naturally going to be some resentment, because there have been women that have been playing in this league for like a decade plus who have been at the top of their game, and they don't necessarily feel like they're getting the respect that they deserve. And what is so weird about this entire moment is that conservative men have this like white savior complex about Caitlin Clark where they see her playing basketball, and she's just like, this is the game, this is the situation, I'm a competitor, and she's experienced physical play before. But because they've decided to make it into this cultural issue about reverse racism, all these white knights in the media are like, I'm standing up for Caitlin against these scary black people. And she's not asking for it. She's trying to play ball. But right-wing men don't see women as complete people. They just see them as either madonnas or whores, or objects to basically be a savior for, to actualize their masculinity. And so when they see these clips of her on the screen, that's like, that's not fair. I'm going to stand up for her because that's what masculine men do. And I'm supporting this white woman and saving her from scary black people. It's a trope as old as time. We talked about this trope within the context of Israel and Palestine, about how sexual violence is being weaponized, even though there have been accusations on both sides, but against one group. Because the way that like patriarchy and racism interact is one where white women have often been victims of, or have alleged victimization of sexual violence to achieve racist ends. And it triggered that exact same stuff, whether it be, the horrific lynching of Emmett Till in the past, of a white mob trying to defend this white woman. It triggers that very impulse where racism and misogyny are interconnected. And that is what the conservative obsession with Caitlin Clark is all about. It's all about that. And she hasn't asked for it. She doesn't deserve it. But, that is the conversation that should be had. But Dave Rubin, for all of his thoughts about ideas, is not interested in that. And it is very funny, too, how he goes scary black lesbians or whatever, black lesbians. Dave, do you want to talk about your sexuality? You want to put that in the forefront of your coverage? Or is it just like your classic conservative, I'm okay as long as I'm okay. I don't really care about other people in my category. In fact, he's been vocally anti-trans. The worst kind of lacking of solidarity person. Just a completely greedy man that only cares for himself.
Well, that's what there's a funny little portmanteau, I guess you might call it, of the idea of the gay triarchy, which would have also included white cis presenting gay men who were not in solidarity with their trans and non-binary folks in looking for liberation amongst the entire LGBTQ plus community, and instead kind of wanted to preserve their rights at the expense of other more marginalized communities. Right. Similarly, as if you can even trace that stuff kind of back to the suffragette movement, who wanted to preserve their vote at the expense of the franchise for all black people.
For all black people, right, exactly.
So Dave Rubin comes from a long lineage of people shirking their solidarity despite actually being from a marginalized group, and despite doing everything possible to kind of erase that from how they present themselves in society and in their work.
It's a great point. Pool Tim Association. Caitlin Clark's rookie season treatment is identical to how Sidney Crosby was treated by the NHL in his rookie season. It's only race and gender that elevated her story into these hot takes on political outlets. Absolutely right. Truth Socialist. I've been listening to Novara Media's coverage of the UK election. One of their folks might be a decent Friday guest before the January or July 4th election. Just a thought. That's a good question. Or a good suggestion, I should say. Chris Burdick. Oh my God, Dave Rubin literally addressed a black sportscaster and said, "What more do you people want?" That's saying the quiet part out loud through a friggin' megaphone. Yep. Will from Indiana. In 2012, Phillies pitcher Cole Hamels hit then rookie MLB phenom Bryce Harper intentionally with a pitch and admitted it was intentional later in a post-game interview. This stuff has been going on in every sport for so many decades, and so many right-wingers are losing their minds over this for the sake of white knighting Caitlin Clark. Uncle Daddy, Rubin pronounces B sounds in a super bouncy way as if he's about to say, "I'm the scat man," or do an offensive impression of an Italian man. He does have he does ham it up. Dave from Jamaica. Dave Rubin hates black women. I'm not sure why he is on this angle. Well, you answered it.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.